Since 1911, the Pierre Parts Store has been your one-stop shop. Family owned and operated for 4 generations, the Pierre Parts Store has served the community by providing groceries, hardware, home products, and much more, including a full-service lumber yard. Now, we've added the Thibodaux store to the family with the same values and service we've delivered for over 100 years. The Pierre Parts Store and the Thibodaux store, our family serving your family.
Hi, everybody. Welcome into Going Public. I am Harry McCullough. This week, we'll be talking about the Airport Commission with the chairman and vice chairman of the Airport Commission, Carlton Casey and Joshua Alfred. So, guys, thanks so much.
Thank you for having
being
us,
with us.
Harry.
Man, we appreciate it. Last time Josh was on, I think we talked about one of the most exciting things I've heard happening in this area in a long time, and that's the unmanned vehicles that what you guys are trying to do with those things. But why don't you fill us in more recently what's going on, Josh? I think you were talking, we're trying to make this a test area for Houma and modeling off of Grand Forks, North Dakota.
Yes, sir.
And what they've been able to do up there at the university. So using their roadmap, trying to get that here. So give us an update on what's going on there.
Yes, sir. So the end goal, or one of the beginning steps to really attract a lot of commerce and a lot of industry to our part of the world, is to become a test site for the Gulf of Mexico, which there exists no test site right now. There's no test site on the Pacific, on the Atlantic, or the Gulf of Mexico. And so we have an opportunity to grab that. We've laid down the foundation. The last 8 years, we have essentially taken the model of the University of North Dakota, which is the premier drone program in the world. And they're doing things like border patrol, pipeline inspection, so on and so forth, in the middle of nowheres with their academic partner, and companies like Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, so on and so forth, have actually set up shops there because they're able to fly these prototypes in this airspace designated as a test site that they can't do anywhere else. And so we actually have a memorandum of understanding signed between us and University of North Dakota to take that same model and bring it here, because they're able to do those same things, but over water. And that's going to offer a huge research and development arm to the university, but as well as these other companies. And really the end goal is to become a test site. And thanks to Garrett Graves in the last FAA Reauthorization Act, he actually made room for them to add 2 new test sites, one specifically being on the Gulf of Mexico. And with all the work we've done in the last 8 years leading up to this, we've teed ourselves up to be that test site. We're about 5 years ahead of the curve with anybody else along the Gulf Coast. And so we think we have a great opportunity. We've done all the things we're supposed to. We've gotten our executive order from the governor a couple years ago to designate us as the large UAV, unmanned aerial vehicle airport in the state of Louisiana. So that tells the feds that we are all on the same page on where this belongs. And we've also gotten EDA grants to put a UAV portion on the airport, which is what you can see off the highway when you ride by. And then we've gotten our first budget line item by the state legislator, thanks to Mike Fessy. And he's given us $3 million, which we're using to go to the design phase for these 3 buildings. And then we're almost done with that. We've actually gotten another vehicle through the legislature to fund a vertiport, which is kind of on the cutting edge. They haven't built any yet, but they have funding out there, which is going to allow these UAVs to dock, drop their passengers off, and take back off. So we're making great progress, and That's all good news. It's very exciting because it's actually going to allow us to diversify our economy and partner with what has made us great and is the backbone of our area, the oil field.
Right. So Carlton, we were saying this is not going to take the place of the helicopter companies, Bristow and PHI. This is going to work alongside of them, and this is eventually going to have unmanned. Obviously it'll start with materials, but it'll eventually taxi people out there. Hopefully.
Exactly, and Bristow and PHI are huge partners with us in a lot of these efforts. We were discussing earlier, in 5 years, we're going to see some unmanned stuff on the Houma Airport. Certainly, we will be seeing electric aircraft on the airport within 5 years, which would be a great silencer of sound for the folks that surround the airport. Suddenly, you won't hear anything coming and going. But what we want to stress is that we are the largest heliport in the country. We're looking at getting the Guinness World Book of Records designation in the world, which is kind of cool. We haven't gotten that yet, but it looks like that's a possibility. So we're sort of the unkept secret.
No, without a doubt. And you're talking about those vertical things. I didn't know what you're talking about with vertical.
Yeah, vertical. It's a parking lot with a heliport on top of it.
Right. And so guys could just come right off and go right down to their cars and take off. So it saves space, right?
Absolutely. Much smaller footprint.
Yeah. So,
And Harry, we're moving more passengers offshore than Baton Rouge and Lafayette are moving in commercial flights.
right.
So it's really unbelievable that we have that here in Houma, Louisiana.
Right. Oh, well, all you got to do is step outside. You hear helicopters going back and forth, which I think is what you're talking about down the road. It'll be electric, but yeah, it's a busy heliport that a lot of people don't even know that's happening right here, right?
And where else in Houma do you have a $30 million investment being made? Because that's what PHI is doing on our airport.
Yeah. So no, a lot of big things for sure. So we'll talk about some more of those big things. We'll be right back on Going Public right after this.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your health is our legacy. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Going Public. I'm Harry McCullough. We're with Carlton Casey and Joshua Alford talking about the Airport Commission and the exciting things that are going out there with unmanned drones and those kind of things, and what y'all trying to build out there. You're working with Louisiana Tech and you're working with Fletcher, and that's going to be all part of it, following the model of what North Dakota is doing right now. So
And just to throw in there, we're working with Nichols. We're working with really all the academic arms, we have MOUs with the chamber, with SCIA, so on and so forth. So we did all that to get our politics right. Right. So I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, that's exactly what we want to talk about. So I'm looking at the first slide we're looking at here, a holistic approach to integrating airspace and ground support. So yeah, that tells you right there who are you partnering with.
Exactly. If you look around the edges of the slide, you see Bristow and PHI, Aurora. Those are our big aircraft partners, but then you also have the education side with Fletcher, La Tech, Nichols.
And that's pilots, mechanics that are all
That's
trained,
all the training
right?
side.
Right.
Yeah, pilots, mechanics, exactly.
So
They're also talking about creating a program with Fletcher and Nichols that one rolls into a 2-year degree rolls into a 4-year degree with Nichols, right? So things like that, where they would work with research and data analytics, that kind of thing.
Right. So, obviously, if you had unmanned drones down the road, that'd be cutting back on pilots, but you got to have drone pilots. You got to have mechanics. That's where our jobs will come in and do those.
Exactly. That's the center we want to be.
Right.
And if Houma doesn't grab those jobs, believe me, it's inevitable
Right.
that this is
It's coming,
happening.
right, yeah.
So our goal is to get Houma, or really Louisiana and the region, this opportunity, because it's happening with or without us.
Right.
And it's our opportunity to lose because, again, everybody we talk to along the Gulf Coast or at all these conferences, so on and so forth, we're 5 years, 10 years ahead of the curve compared to anybody else along the Gulf Coast.
Right. And you know, you'll service the whole Gulf. You know, you can serve the whole Gulf from there, hopefully, but it could lead into defense. You know, those kind of things. We've seen war using these drones, you know, so.
And
Exactly.
we've just gotten a police, our own police department designated by the legislature, which, you know, talking about government contracts, we need to be prepared to take those on, and you have to have certain levels of security. So we took on our own police department, and by having that designation, it's going to open up the opportunity for grants and other things to help pay for that.
Ida really helped us figure out that the security system around the airport was in great need. Ida helped us with, was it 90,000 square feet of fencing?
Right. It's a big area. Yeah.
It's a big area, and now to have our own police force really helps us with some of those federal designations.
The next slide we're looking at, you work with Lieutenant Governor, and I see a Super Bowl logo. Carlton, you want to tell me about that?
Yeah, exactly. Coming up next year, of course, is the Super Bowl. And one of the designations that we're trying to get, and our Lieutenant Governor is kind enough to work with us, is to be the designation of one of the airports that gets the overflow for parking of private aircraft. We're also doing something that's going to be kind of neat. We're looking at one of our partners in the unmanned stuff, the drone areas, to actually land a drone at the Superdome during the Super Bowl. So that gives us a little more exposure.
Right. I hope, let them know you're coming, because I know there'll be security there.
Billy Nungesser said if we can secure the drone, he will flip the cost.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
that would be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
He's been great to work with.
No, it would be awesome. And I know you were talking about Governor Landry. You already had it signed, I guess, from the last governor, but now it's going to be redone as being the large airport, right?
Yes, sir. So someone
Maybe
from
on
his
August
office
7th.
called us up and said that it's expiring. Are we still full steam ahead? And of course, we told him we were. And so he'll be renewing that executive order under this new administration.
Yeah. No, it's so good. So let's take a look at some of the other things. There's a CEA. What's the implement of CEA?
Basically, all that means is that we have entered into some legal jargon with La Tech, Fletcher, et cetera, to implement some of the things that we're talking about doing with the RPAs, which is the remotely piloted aircraft. And that just gives us further emphasis on our program when we have those kind of allegiances.
I got you. So where do we go? Where do you eventually want to go with that? So Josh, what's the next step after? I mean, obviously you got to collect all the funding and be ready to go, but what can we see maybe 5 years down the road?
So I think 5 years down the road, I'm hoping much sooner than that, we get the designation of a test site.
Right.
And again, I think the rest will follow, like those companies that I'm talking about, or many more. You know, they're looking for opportunities like us to locate and train their people, test out their prototypes, so on and so forth. And that's really what we want. Everybody talks about how do we keep people my age from leaving? How do we keep all our kids here and happy with good paying jobs, and also diversification? And this is how we do that. I think this is a great investment for the oil field as well. When you can bring it out there, pipeline inspection, rig inspection, so on and so forth. You can, like we talked about, PHI and Bristow ordered roughly about 500 drones that have about a 600 to 800 pound capacity to bring parts offshore. So you can bring it out in inclement weather, that you can't put a helicopter out there, so on and so forth, and not worry about losing a person.
Yeah, no doubt. So a great opportunity for our area. We'll take one more break. We'll be right back. We're going public right after this.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough.
Everybody, welcome back to Going Public. I am Harry McCullough. We're talking about the Airport Commission with a couple of commissioners. Carlton Casey is the chairman. Joshua Alford is the vice chairman. Thanks so much for being with us, guys. And as we continue, man, just a great opportunity for our area. That's what it is. It's a great opportunity for the area. But, you know, when you talk about economic development, Carlton, I know that's very important.
Yeah, it's very important to me. I look back as a businessman trying to get things moving in this particular environment that we're in now. And I look at the airport, and we are we provide a plethora of opportunity for high-tech jobs, well-paying jobs, hoping to keep some of our young people here, as well as attracting outside talent.
Right.
So it's very important, and TITA's been a big partner in ours. And I think I see that going forward.
No, I'm with you. You know, I got children that age, right? Dallas and Houston and Nashville and Atlanta, they got enough for our kids. Why don't we keep some of them here, you know?
Exactly.
We're looking for jobs to keep those kids here for sure. We're talking about the airport, and Josh, we'll get to it. I wanted to just take an overview look at this one map that showed just how big an area you're talking about when you're talking about the biggest heliport maybe in the world. This is all the area. Obviously, it's an entire airport, but this is kind of what we're talking about. And Josh, you were talking that with the designation now, we're starting to show up on some maps as one of the true places to have these UAV.
Yes, sir.
UVAs.
So unmanned aerial vehicle, unmanned aerial systems,
Right.
you know, it's
Right.
all over the place. And they actually changed, we were talking earlier,
Right.
they're changing it from unmanned to something else.
Unpersoned.
Yeah. And so anyway, it's all the same
Who
thing.
gets elected, maybe.
But yeah, but this is actually a slide that was put in here. This is a slide being used by the FAA in some of their conferences and some of the table talks that they're having with different entities where they're pointing out Houma-Terrebonne Airport. The FAA is, and they were not asked specifically by us. They just know the work that we're doing. And we actually got a visit, I forget the exact person, but very high up in the FAA, where they came to do a site visit, which that is very good because, again, hopefully they're looking for that test site that has to be located along the Gulf of Mexico. And obviously we're one of the front players.
Right. Well, you know, when we talk about the FAA, when we talk about drones, and the future is drones, right? We've even, like I say, we've even seen it in wars, and the future is drones. You can't fly a drone everywhere, it's particularly not these that are going to carry a couple hundred pounds. And to have that designation makes you, again, now we're number 8 in that group. So there's only 8 places that these companies can go, we got to test this technology. We got to get it out there. It makes Houma one of 8 to do it, and centrally located in the center of the United States too. It have to be awesome with water.
And what we were talking about earlier, you know, these test sites were all found in the middle of nowhere. So they had no infrastructure. They had to build all that out. What makes us so unique is we're kind of in the middle of nowhere, but we have all this infrastructure like fiber optic, 5G, all of that going offshore. So the infrastructure is already there. They may have to adapt a few things, but again, the hardwire, everything is already there. One of the projects we worked on is getting the LANI network all the way to the airport, and actually I think it's to the East Side campus for I can't think of the name right now, but it goes to the East Side campus, but it's specifically used for huge sets of data that only governments and universities have access to.
Yeah.
So now when we do have somebody on the airport, they can process all that data, which is going to be massive from these drones. I mean, the data is just enormous.
Right. Are you talking about LUMCON?
Yes, that's what. Actually, no. Yes, I am.
Okay.
I am.
Right.
Sorry, escaped me.
Jason helped me out on that one. So let's talk about some of the drones, the kind of drones we talked about. We talked about the vertiport, but there's a bunch of different drones, and you can see there's a bunch of different levels, right? From little small ones to big ones that carry people maybe down the road.
Exactly. And eventually the plan is to do just that. And again, going back to where we were a few seconds ago, we're a perfect drop-off point. There's nothing between us and the Gulf. There's not a large inhabited area of people. So we're just a natural drop-off. But the type of drones we're seeing, the sky's the limit. There's going to be all kinds of things we're going to see coming out.
Yeah, this is definitely the future. But again, you never hear this talked about that much. But the development of what we're going to see flying around in the air, we talked about Jetsons, right? Since we were little kids, Carlton. But
That's exactly right.
we might be seeing that pretty quickly here as well. So what else do we need to do when you start building the vertiport and that kind of stuff?
Well, the root of all evils is always money. So with the line items from the governor, with our political groups working diligently for us at both the state level and the federal level, we're hoping to gather more grants. Obviously, once you start getting a few of these designations, the money comes a little easier.
Right.
And that's where we are right now.
I got you.
And Mr. Harry, what I would love for everybody watching to take away from this is let them know we're working hard to bring this home, because we know how huge this could be for our area, not just for our area, but for the whole state of Louisiana. And we are laying the groundwork. We're doing the electrification studies. We're doing the design for all these buildings that we received the money for, so that we can go out and get those buildings. We're laying all the groundwork to be ready to take it on.
Right.
And so a lot's being done, even though it's very slow, and we realize that. We wish it would move faster.
Seattle didn't know what Amazon was up to when they started. It was just working
Right.
out of a guy's garage. So
right.
we'll see. Well, guys, thanks so much.
Thank
Thank you. Thanks for
Appreciate the
having us.
update. That's Going Public. We'll see you next time right here.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality.